So I'm not sure if this episode was giving lackluster for y'all, like it was giving for me. It reminds me of the type of party, and not this party, because this party is lit, okay? We ain't even about to do that. But the type of party, like, when you show up on time and you're there sitting at a table playing in your phone and it's about one other person there, maybe 10 tables down, staring at the door because they're just waiting and thirsting for other people to walk in, but ain't nobody tell y'all to get there on time. Like, it was giving that, like, what's going on here? Like, let's pick this up. Let's go. And I feel like we kind of got a little something to talk about, maybe the last 5 to 10 minutes of the episode. I don't know. And then before I hopped on here, I came across this brief little article. I didn't even read it fully, but it definitely housed some tweets from people in terms of lack of sympathy when it comes to Sutton in this episode. And I said, well, I'll be doggone. Y'all just not going to give her a break, right? Because I was hoping that maybe this episode made a little bit more sense as to why maybe she acts the way that she does, right? Not at surface level, because of course, you're going to say, oh, well, she doesn't have to respond like that, but it's deep rooted. And I'm not making excuses, but I'm saying it just makes more sense to me. But I'll definitely get into that. Apparently, some of y'all still don't care about all that. So I guess this is more so for the ones that do. And hopefully, even for the ones that don't, maybe it'll give a little bit more insight. We help each other, give each other perspective. But anyways, y'all, let me go ahead and get into it. What's going on? It's your girl Taina B here. Welcome to my chat party. I'm so glad that y'all can join me. And for a little bit, a lot of bit, fashionably early, fashionably late, whatever the deal may be, I appreciate y'all support so much from the bottom of my heart. For those who hit the like button, thank you so much in advance. Those of you who have join the guest list party by subscribing, you are the mother freaking bomb, okay? All day, every day. For those of you who are even just taking the time to view, you might not want to cut a rug on the dance floor just yet, because you're the one that's sitting in the chair and just watch everybody else dance because it ain't your thing. I'll give it time. Maybe one day, you'll make an appearance, okay? And I definitely want to give my DJ shout out to those who hit my dance floor last video, but of course I'll save that for the end, because as I say, listen, some of y'all are like, girl, we ain't coming for all that. Go ahead and get to the point and run your mouth. And then at the same time, I want to save the best for last, okay? So let's go ahead and get into my little thoughts, my little opinions of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 14, episode number 15. Now, I will just disclaim y'all that I have a light that's glaring from my window on my floor, and I have hardwood floors outside my office door, so I'm gonna try to ignore it. I hope it's not a distraction to you guys. It might obstruct my view of my little paper a little bit, or the words, whatever, but we'll see how it goes. I might need to interrupt the video to kind of close my blinds. But anyways, we automatically start with Bose visiting, with Dorit visiting Erica, and I'm like, yay, what a way to begin the episode. All right. Because I really want to see Dorito on my screen. I guess. Anyways, immediately after, we have Bose who shows up, and she is coming to drop off her bag of goodies as an invitation to St. Lucia. And she just hops right on in and throws shade at Sutton's fashion show. And I'm like, girl, for what? And she was like, oh, I didn't mean for that to come out. Oh, but it did. You definitely could have controlled what came out. Okay. And I'm like, why are we doing that? Because at the end of the day, your BFF that stands there right beside you, she ain't even got no fashions to offer for a fashion show. Okay. So let's talk about that. Or maybe we shouldn't, because there wouldn't really be much to talk about. Either way, or across the way, we have Garcelle, who's visiting at Sutton's. And Garcelle asked if Dorit and Sutton saw each other and spoke at the fashion show. And Dorit said, they said hello to each other. And she says, let's put the Dorit and Sutton on ice for now. And I'm like, yes, let's. Please, let's. Especially considering the fact, again, like I said, folks are still on your neck, Sutton, and they ain't letting up no time soon. Let's. But I said, obviously, that's not going to happen. This is the topic of conversation, right? So all the ladies are having dual conversations about the same thing, which was Dorit and Garcelle meeting up for dinner to talk about just the craziness that's been going on between Dorit and Sutton. And so Dorit starts immediately with the lies, in my opinion, because she says Garcelle made the comment that she brought up the drinking, which she knew Sutton is sensitive about. And I'm like, so let's even pause right there, because the operative word is knew. Okay, you knew Sutton was sensitive about. And Dorit saying she welcomed Sutton and she was happy that day. So in other words, there was no need to poke at Sutton because she was in such a great mood. Let's talk about it, okay? Let's break this all down. The lies, I say. First of all, you had Sutton waiting 30 plus minutes for you to come downstairs, and I truly believe you knew she was there. And it's called because production told you so. In your confessional, you even said seeing Kyle and seeing Kyle and Sutton as the first to arrive was awkward for you, and they were not your first choice. Okay? Then you have this awkward back and forth weird moment with Sutton and this whole bag that seemed to have sparked the annoyance that was lying within. Because you even said you couldn't ignore the tension between you and her in that moment. Because this is coming off the fact that you didn't like how she cut you short when you were talking about your son's feelings towards Sutton. I'm Sutton. Lord, there's so many of these names I'm getting mixed up. Between you and PK and your situation, right? You didn't like that she wanted to hush you up and hurry you up so y'all can get to Garcelle's event. And that's the thing. Shout out again to my girl, Talkative TV Addict. My girl. Because as she mentioned in prior comments on the dance floor, and I don't know if she said it was the after show because it's been a few weeks now that I read that comment, but I remember her saying that Sutton had shared that you even knew that production wanted Sutton to wrap up the conversation because y'all had to get to Garcelle's because it was a very long drive to get there and you had been running your mouth so long that they needed you to wrap it up. So you already knew what it was, okay? But yet you want to have tension about that. Why are you having tension? The tension then needs to be with production, not with Sutton for doing her job. But okay. Anyways, Kyle even expressed that in that moment when y'all were going back and forth with the bag, she was uncomfortable. Why would she be uncomfortable if it's just the bag? Ooh, I'm so evil because it's just the bag or whatever she said that last episode. Why would Kyle be uncomfortable, right? Because you couldn't have been fully in a good mood. And so you were definitely in a mood to come for her because on top of that, you already just don't like her. Okay, Dorit, we got to keep calling the thing a thing, which you're just not going to do. And any little thing, no matter how awkward, like the bag moment, can get the party started. So let's knock it off with the cap, okay? Anyways, Erica stops Dorit and asks, well, what about what was done to me? She said in her confessional, Sutton and Garcelle cut her no breaks when she was going through the lowest point in her life, talking about the lawsuits and the drinking and the medication, right? Because her thing is, now Sutton wants sympathy from people, but she couldn't give sympathy. And sidebar, they showed a flashback of Garcelle bringing up how Erica needed to figure out her medicine to alcohol ratio. And can I say I just love Erica's look in that moment, because let me just put this out there and say I do not mean to offend when I say this. I think I just like more meaty, people. But this is when Erica had just a little bit more weight to her, and I think she carried it so well. Like, I just thought she looked so beautiful sitting there that I almost forgot that she's lost so much weight. I remember when she came back that one season, it just seemed like such a drastic change with the whole Ozempic of it all, because I believe she said she was doing the Ozempic too, right? And so even now she looks good, but I prefer that version of her. I thought she looked so beautiful. And they also show in that same flashback Sutton bringing up the $20 million that allegedly was placed into Erica's LLC. And so Erica says, now all of a sudden Sutton wants sympathy because someone said something about her. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is, okay? Because let's not forget, Erica, those were the moments Garcelle and Sutton were carrying the season on their back. Someone had to ask the questions, okay? And particularly Sutton, because the huge difference is that Sutton was just vocalizing on her own what everyone else was thinking, okay? And these things we know. And at the same time, you didn't like them coming for you, but everybody was supposed to sit by idly and just let this situation, which was wow crazy, play out and not say anything and not have questions and not have thoughts. You certainly would have, and you would have expressed yourself. And I'm glad that they did, because the way that your other friends were carrying on and barely saying much of anything, that didn't help. And I feel like too, the difference in that moment too is that Garcelle expressed, from what I can remember, that she was coming to you out of concern. I feel like I specifically remember them having a conversation, and it's been a while, about that. and we know that Garcelle is not a heartless, mean person. So you could believe that if she says she's coming from a place of concern, she's coming from a place of concern. Now, even with her presentation, her delivery of coming at Eric in that moment the way that she did, could she have scaled it back? Sure. I just think she was still coming more from passion, though, not any maliciousness, And so, again, coming out of concern, Dorit absolutely not coming out of concern. Dorit absolutely coming from a place of shade and dislike and disdain and maybe even hate. I don't know. So, even in the flashback clip, Garcelle is pretty much telling you to chill, whereas Dorit came at Sutton on some shady, underhanded ish. So, Erica, I feel like it was almost a good point, but not quite the same. And so Erica says Garcelle consistently defends Sutton's behavior. And I'm like, oh, if that's the case, then y'all do it too. So everybody's even. As Bose says, Garcelle and Sutton are hypocritical. I'm like, Bose, so are you and your girls. So next, if that's the case. And she apparently says she has picked the room assignments for St. Lucia and that the three of them, her, Dorit and Erica, will be in the room together, and they're excited like three school-age girls, or should I say elementary girls? Huh, Dorit? Should I say elementary girls? Your favorite word? And Sutton says Kyle and Dorit were all over each other the prior night at the fashion show. Garcelle implies in her confessional Sutton's threatened by that because that'll interrupt her ability to vibe better with Kyle. And I'm like, okay, and what's so wrong with that? That most certainly would mess up the dynamic. Now, at the end of the day, to the foundation of it all, is Kyle somebody I would really consider a friend for Sutton? Absolutely not. But if we want to treat it for what it is and what Sutton sees it is in this moment, of course it would mess up the dynamic, because now she's going to feel like she's not going to get the same amount of attention. She's been enjoying this ride that her and Kyle have been on. She knows it's going to change because now she's back to business with her boom coon, her ace, her road dog. So of course it's going to be different. And so they talk about Mauricio and the girl he was booed up with, and the picture and Kyle and the mortgage of it all. And to be honest, y'all, I just wasn't as interested. Okay, not remotely interested. Sutton tells Garcelle she wants to respect Kyle's privacy, and Garcelle tells her she feels Sutton is scared of Kyle and bows down to her. And I'm like, since when? And how so? When? Scared of her and bows down? Name them. Name them. Name them. Name them. Name them. I want to know how. Now, have we seen plenty of instances where Sutton probably should have stood up to Kyle more and opened her mouth more? Absolutely. But scared of her? Nah, I definitely want to say that. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know what you recall, or anytime you recall Sutton looking like she was afraid of Kyle. I don't agree with that. And so Sutton presents the lighthearted way they can bring up Kyle hanging out at Morgan's concerts, because I guess they have questions about that. And Garcelle says to Sutton, yeah, like kid gloves, like goes to her point that Sutton is scared of Kyle. Meanwhile, if Sutton does get loose and get so forthright and forthcoming with Kyle, then everybody's going to have a problem with it. Then it's going to be Sutton's being volatile, and Sutton's being cruel, and Sutton's being crazy, and this, that, and the third. So it's like, let's not even go there. It would just be a mess, okay? They would be completely shocked at what she says and does. And it just seems to me, like Sutton said, she just doesn't want to make Kyle angry, because you got to think, listen, Sutton has been having to go back and forth with Dorit. That is just tiring. Okay, ain't nobody trying to start and have a whole nother argument with somebody else. And she's already thinking her and Kyle are on good terms, so she doesn't want to rattle the fence, period. And so I just think it's as simple as what that is right there. So now we're at Kyle's, and Bo stops by to drop off her vacation bag. And she makes an attempt to get to know Kyle a little better, since she said at Dorit's 4th of July barbecue that she feels like Bose hadn't tried to get to know her. And I agree. I've always been saying that from day one, that I feel like Bose hasn't given all the ladies a fair shake. Now, while I feel like this attempt comes off the heels that Dorit and Kyle are now good, because I don't know if this would be going down if they weren't, at least the effort to connect is there, I guess. I guess it's something. So Kyle gets emotional talking about Mauricio, which then prompts Bose to share a personal story about her and what she went through with her deceased husband and how she was thinking about divorce at the time. And I believe they were separated, and she walked in at a facility, I think he was being cared at, and there was another woman there loving on him and kissing on him, and Bose got upset like, oh no, get this B out of here. And so it was just nice, I guess, for her to share a moment where they can just kind of connect, and that was relatable. And because obviously she was making the point that she was going through or trying to go through or similarly going through a divorce. They end up getting a few laughs in, which turned into a nice soft moment for them. Now we have Dorit and PK meeting for dinner. I was like, no, and no thanks. No thanks so more. So y'all have to let me know if I played myself and missed something, because I definitely fast all the way forward. And I felt like I was fast forwarding for a while. Even went to commercial break, fast forwarded through that. And then it's like when I came back, it was still on that same scene with them. I'm like, well, did I miss something? So at that point, I stopped to listen for a little while, and the gist that I got is that they're on the path to seeing if they can at least be friends, and then maybe that can lead to them being back together. Not really sure. In that moment, I felt like I should have continued to fast forward. So Keely shows up at Bose's house to have dinner, and to get to know Bose's daughter a little better. Lael, I believe her name is, right? Or is it Lael? Lael, I think, is grilling Keely, as she should, but in a very respectful and, kind-hearted way and laughable way. So they seem to have a great dinner is the moral of that story. So now we have Mauricio, who comes over to the house. Okay, to Kyle's house now, since it's not their house. And Kyle immediately asks, right? Because they go through a little pleasantries with the daughter Portia. And I mean, you ain't even see Portia's probably little sneaker cut that corner good before Kyle's like, so how was your trip? And I'm like, well, dang, you just want to get to the point. You can tell in her face she's wanting him to get to the point about that whole photo with that young looking girl. And did I hear Mauricio say it was a trip that was awkward because it was the first time he was without his family? I was like, so then why was that lady there? And then he also said it was a trip where he wanted to be alone. Last time I checked, being alone mean you're by yourself. No one else is present. So again, I ask, why was that lady there? So then he really sat there playing in her face and not getting to the point, because he starts stirring that spoon so loudly in that mug, then had the nerve after the weird silence to look her dead in her eyes while he sipped from that mug. And then even after he took the sip, got silent again. I was like, okay, at this point, I would have been like, you know what? Stop playing with me. Like, really, Mauricio, is this how we about to handle this? Like, if you don't go ahead and get to what I need you to say, matter of fact, let me say it. So 30 years later, Mauricio finally decides he wants to mention the photo and how he would never do anything on purpose that would hurt Kyle or the girls. And I'm like, but Mauricio, it seems to me you've been hurting your wife and your girls because you're part of the reason as to why you're in this predicament now. Okay, and if not so part of the reason, maybe even the whole reason as to why. So that's interesting you say that. So he ends up apologizing. Kyle seems in her own way to receive it, because she's like, yeah, I know you didn't do anything. I'm like, okay, girl, do you really? What about the times that you were probably crying at night? But okay, I guess. So at first, Kyle is telling him they can do what they want to do because they're separated. And I'm thinking, this is your definition of separated? Like, you still consider this a separation situation? Like, I think y'all are full throttle done at this point. And she does eventually come to that conclusion. And she says in her confession that it seems like he's moved on. And I said, he absolutely is. He's totally good off of you in that way. At this point, it's truly giving big brother, little sister vibes. Like, the romance is just completely gone. The love is still there, but the romance is not. And I'm like, yeah, Kyle, don't live in that la la land that you mentioned. Please don't. And so she starts crying, and it's such a sucky position to be in, right, for a few reasons. Because it's like, I think maybe in that moment she did realize it's officially over. So where there was a glimpse of any type of hope, there's no more of that. And it's like at the same time, you're hugging the one who has hurt you throughout the years and also just freshly embarrassed you with this whole photo situation, right? You're also breaking down in front of him, and he should see that so he can see how he's made you feel. But is he deserving of that at the same time? And I know she couldn't help it, right? You can't help how you feel in certain moments. And sometimes it just releases wherever and however. But I feel like it'll all turn out favorable for her at the end of the day anyway, because as she bounces back, then he'll start to see her true joy and laughter and confidence shining real bright to the point where he might be stumped like, well, damn, okay. Well, now she's finally over me. Oh, God. All right, well, shoot. Now maybe I want her back. And maybe not, but he'll know when she's fully healed, and she will too. And so the ladies are starting to gather at the airport to head to St. Lucia. And my girl, Jennifer Tilly is giving us some old nasty antique fashion by pulling out that vintage. And excuse me, I said incorrect. Did I say that? Pulling out those vintage Hermes jewelry cases. Oh my gosh. I said I cannot with this lady. Just the epitome of expensive and fabulosity. And y'all, she does it so effortlessly. I mean, the lady doesn't even try. She just is what she is. And I enjoy all of it. And so they arrive to the beautiful villas. We know that Dorit, Eric, and Bose will be together. Kyle and Kathy will share a villa. And then Jennifer, Sutton, and Garcelle will do their own thing. And I said, Jennifer is so cute, right? Because she's just the ooh and the ah and going up the steps to her villa. Because it's like, I would do the same thing. Who wants to be bothered with all the steps when you're on vacation? Like, I'm not here to do extra work. I'm here to chill and relax. Why am I working out when I don't have to? Why are you giving me this extra stuff? Like, it's just too much, you know? And it's like, especially if you're going to be doing things on the island, and it sounds like Bo says she has a lot of things planned. So now that means I got to be up and down those same steps. Then you know they want to be doing dinner. So again, I got to go up and down those steps again. I guess there's resolution, right? You just bring yourself a little pair of flats to wear up and down the steps and you can consider it some type of little beneficial workout, but still it's just too much for vacation. So again, needless to say, I understand you, Jennifer. I do. And she's also freaking out because her candy exploded in her bag, and she said she'll need that to calm her through those nights after those terrible dinners with the ladies. And I'm like, my girl, Jennifer knows what time it is. So now we have Sutton, Garcelle, and Jennifer who are talking in their villa, and Sutton says she's feeling weird vibes from Dorit. And I said, well, now, Sutton, why wouldn't you be feeling weird vibes from Dorit? Y'all are not on good terms. Y'all don't like each other. More so, Dorit doesn't like you, and you know these things. Y'all just have had quite a few powwows, and a most recent one. Like, what do you mean? And so Jennifer had to bring it on back for Sutton. Like, yeah, probably because y'all didn't leave on good terms after the caviar. What did she say? I always get that wrong. I'm just say the caviar gathering that they were at each other's throat. So of course it's going to be weird. And so Garcelle says in her confessional, Sutton's giving weird eyes. And I'm thinking, no, she's not giving weird eyes in my opinion. She's giving, I'm in my thoughts. She's in her thoughts about something. And obviously we see that in a few minutes. And I'm not feeling these little sidebars, I'll say, with Garcelle in her confessionals that she's giving about her friend, because it's like they're coming across a little shady to me. While you are entitled to feel how you feel and be honest with how you feel with your friend, I'm like, then say it directly to her. Like, it was making me a little uncomfortable, y'all. It's just something I observed, wasn't feeling it as much. I don't feel like it makes Garcelle a horrible friend, but it's like, what is all of this about, girl? Like, what are you doing? And so across the way, Dorit is explaining the same weird vibes to Bose and Erica. And she says she just wants to enjoy her trip. And I can agree with her, because that's what vacation should be about. It shouldn't come with all this animosity and all this tension and all this extra curricular that you just don't need. And she feels like Sutton is coming on some, I've been a bad girl. And I'm like, what? And I'm sorry, y'all. I couldn't imitate that as good as she did it. Y'all will have to check it out if you didn't see it. The way that Dorit imitated that. I don't know if Dorit ever made me laugh, but that was funny to me because it was creepy, but I couldn't lie, y'all. I definitely chuckled. So Sutton says she's watching Dorit with Kyle, and the forgiveness factor is so easy between them. And I'm like, again, yes, Sutton, because they have a much deeper dynamic and relationship with each other. Y'all don't even almost have that with each other. And again, I trust Jennifer's word. As I mentioned in a past video, she seems to me to be a very credible individual and someone who's just the true definition of a friend, because she's not going to tell you what you want to hear either. So based off of her assessment, she's saying though she likes all the girls, it seems that they're a very cliquey group of women. And as a newcomer coming in, they're very tough to crack. And I agree. I don't think it's difficult for us to tell that at all. Being outsiders looking in, they gravitated who they gravitated to. And that's why I feel like Bose did as well. Like, I feel like she came in early on just picking who she thought was the cooler side of the group. Most would say, oh no, she just vibes with them better. Yeah, it could be that, because, you know, that's just that popular girl clique. Maybe you just go, but it's like, again, get a chance to know everybody. Sometimes you discover things in people that you never knew you could discover, right? So that's why they say, right, don't judge a book by its cover, and get to know people. You never know what you'll explore on the other side of that. And so Jennifer also shares that, you know, she likes everyone to like her. And she thought they'd be having sleepovers and just all the girly things, right? And she shares with us just how in her childhood she grew up and she wasn't really welcomed by the popular girls either, because she was the awkward one out. And so she gets it, right? And she says that it's understandable in a sense that the girls have their history together. But again, it gives popular girls, and we know how popular girls can be, right? They don't have time for nothing else in between. It's all about them. Sometimes they tend to be very much mean girls, all of that. And who wants to be reminded of those kind of high school days? I don't. So that's exactly the space I feel like Sutton was in before it was even brought to the forefront. And honestly, y'all, as I watch the episode for the first time, I'm pausing and I'm taking whatever my thoughts are in those moments. So it's not like I sit and watch the whole episode first and then take my notes. Like, no, I'm watching it or taking my notes in real time, right? As I'm watching it. And so with, again, me feeling like before it even came to the forefront, that's the space Sutton was in. It's like her inner child is surfacing to be liked, right? I believe Sutton has always wanted to be liked by Dorit, but Dorit didn't always give that energy. And then and then started coming at Sutton, to which Sutton started defending herself. And she should have. And then caught all the backlash, like she just turned into an evil witch out of nowhere. I don't think this is I did something wrong moment. I just think that Sutton probably has her phases where she gets exhausted and tapped out and is tired of having to constantly be at war or on ready for what Dorit may throw her way, when she genuinely just wants peace. Or with the other ladies too, right? We can throw Kyle in that example. It's like she finally, I guess, calls herself working to a space where her and Kyle are good. And now she's feeling like that's probably going to take a turn again, because Kyle is back good with Dorit. It worked better when Kyle wasn't as good with Dorit, but yeah. So it's just, it's not a good space to be in. And I could, be 1,000% wrong, but just my thoughts. And so Jennifer asked Sutton if it's a situation where no matter what she does, she feels like it can't be fixed. And before Sutton answered, I said, yes, that's exactly it. Because sometimes you have those people who will be so hell-bent on misunderstanding you and not giving you a fair shake. And Sutton, those are exactly the folks that you don't need. I said you don't, capital D to the O to the N to the apostrophe T. You do not need in your life. And so Sutton gets emotional and said it's been a long road with those girls, and the only one who truly supports her is Garcelle. She said even Kyle won't speak up for her when it comes to the back and forth with matters of Dorit. It's almost like she's always pointing the blame at both of them, and not calling Dorit's out sometimes, right? Sutton is just getting called out back to back to back. What about Dorit? how is nobody seeing what Dorita's doing? So I get where Sutton is coming from. Even if we want to say it's something, it could be something as simple as if you want to say that Sutton is starting it all. Well, Dorit has definitely given her some responses. Like I mentioned again in my last video, when you saw Sutton the second time around, after making a comment about the alcohol, why would you bring up the alcohol again? Why would you say anything implying, insinuating, leading to, connected to drinking it all? Why did you have to say anything to her? It's like, so you don't help the situation either. Like, you got to know your role and know your place and know to just when to fall back and be quiet, because sometimes there's peace in silence. Oftentimes you need to speak up, but then you got to pick and choose those battles where you don't. And I feel like Dorit just doesn't do that. She doesn't do that. And it's just unfortunate, because I feel like if Dorit were to take some accountability and genuinely make the effort and not change, I think they would be okay. I really do, you guys. But to me, at the same time, or they would have been okay, I'll say, I feel like it's far removed at this point. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, they just need to be done with each other. Garcelle says that's the $1 million question when it comes to Kyle and Sutton. Why does Sutton continue to stick up for Kyle when Kyle doesn't stick up for her? And ding, 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 ding. Sutton says it. She says she just wants to be liked by the girls. So there's the answer to your question, Garcelle, because she's willing to go through whatever lengths, whatever depths to keep these ladies, or stay in these ladies' good graces. Now, obviously, it hasn't been working out so well, and I'm sure Sutton doesn't feel great about that, but she has to stand up for herself, and she can't keep letting them trample over her like they've been doing season after season after season after season. They don't show her the respect that they ought to show her as a grown woman with long money. And even if you want to take the long money out of it, they don't treat her with respect just as a human being. They don't. And she's not a bad person. She really is not. And so, as I mentioned, I had no idea that she was going to say that, but I understand too how she's feeling, because I've been there. And it's like, why should you have to force someone to accept the value of who you are? Why? We know other factors can also come into play, right? Because I've dealt with envious people. I've dealt with jealous people. I've dealt with people who are in competition. Just ones who want to bring you down a size because they feel small about themselves, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But why suffer through that? Just to say you have friends? No thanks. No ma'am, Pam. The way that piece hits when you don't have those impurities in your life called unnecessary people, it's absolutely amazing. And I hope that Sutton gets to that space where she really becomes at peace with being okay with who and what's not meant to be in her life. When I tell you that's one thing I don't fight against ever in my life, y'all, I don't care who it is. I could have thought you were the best thing since sliced bread. If you disappear from my life tomorrow, I'm not questioning it. It's because you weren't supposed to be in my life, because what's supposed to stick is going to stay. And that's that on that. And so I always tell y'all, for me, it's quality over quantity. And Sutton even knows a lot of great people, affluent people, accomplished people, probably fun people, all the things. But even sitting there in that moment with Garcelle and Jennifer, I felt like that's all she needed. So I wouldn't focus on the others. I would focus right on Jennifer and Garcelle, because they're deserving of my love, my time, my laughter, and energy. And I would keep it very surface level with the other ladies, with no expectations set. And as a matter of fact, I would keep reminding myself that they don't see it for me. They don't see it for me. Why do I need that when they don't see it for me? And I'm going to tell y'all too, it's nothing also like just being secure within yourself and knowing sometimes that you're all that you need. Because I can rock with both, y'all. Since I've been a kid, I've been able to do my own thing to myself. Now, I still grew up. I've had all types of parties and slumber parties and sleepovers and gatherings, and I've slept at other people's houses, and I played outside on the block, and then I hung out on the block, with friends and all of that in my teenage years. But I also love being to myself and doing my own thing. Even to this day, it's just that it took me getting older to really appreciate that and learn that there's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy me. I love me. I don't argue with me. I make me laugh. There's peace in me. There's tranquility. There's like, like I'm good enough. Like I am good. I am my own best friend. Okay. And that might be such a cliche saying, but when I tell you it rings to the core of me that I don't need the nonsense and I will take it any day. And I think that's also attributed just to different points of isolation that I've had in my life to get to know myself more and to get closer in my word to discover even more of the value of me. That what do I need gook around me for? Like, no thanks. And people used to make me feel like I was crazy because I was so selective of who I kept around me, or I was so harsh when I could be quick to cut people off. And it's like before I even understood that was a thing, I was saving myself so much time and heartache. Now I've still been through heartache and wasted time, you know what I mean? But now it's so easy to choose me, So I hope that, again, Sutton gets to that point where she just says, you know what, the hell with them. I'm good. I ain't worried about it. You don't want to rock with me? No problem, baby doll. Have a great day, okay? How about that? So we also get a quick flashback of a 24-hour later situation, which we'll catch up on in the next episode. And it's Dorit and Erica will look like tag teaming Sutton. And Sutton's on some, what do you want from me? Like, what the do you want from me? And again, that's that exhaustion kicking in. But everybody's just going to see it as Sutton's being volatile and the dramatic one and making nothing out of, or making something out of nothing. Like somehow it's going to be brought right back on her, and that is getting very tiring for me to watch. But I'm gonna still be feeling how I'm feeling again until I'm proven otherwise. I'm still waiting to be proven otherwise, and I'm honestly open to that. I just haven't found or come across anything yet that makes me understand why people don't get why Sutton is acting or has reacted the way that she does. I don't know, y'all. But anyways, y'all, that's all I got. Ain't got no more. I'm sorry, like I said, this was just giving a little mesh. Okay, I guess. I hope maybe next week will give us a little bit more to talk about and a little bit more excitement. And so definitely want to hit y'all with my DJ shout outs, okay? And those people, we have newbie Sheila Dion. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for your comment. You have no idea, I was smiling from ear to ear because you said you enjoyed the content. Mwah. I appreciate it. I hope you'll continue somehow to enjoy the content, even if there's times where we don't agree. And I don't even know if you agree with all my content, but the point is you're enjoying it and somehow it put a smile on your face, and that means everything to me. So thank you. Keep coming back, please. Pretty please. To Ella Grace 5977, for Gwendolyn 510, Paprika ASMR, Danielle A 2023, Bravado, and my boy Spencer. You guys are the best. I appreciate y'all so much. Listen, don't be shy to hit the dance floor again. The dance floor is yours. Y'all do what y'all do. Show the people what to do, and then maybe they'll tag along. Okay. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know I'll be back next week to do it all over again. I hope this video found you in good spirits, and if it didn't, I hope somehow it lifted your spirits, even if just a little bit, put a little smile on your face. So we'll chat again next week, y'all. We'll chat again. I hope we'll have something good to chat about. But until then, y'all know what I need y'all to do. Y'all stay up. Y'all stay blessed. And I'm out. Peace.